Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a monster that we are all scared of. I'm talking about procrastination. We are all guilty of procrastinating, of letting things be, pushing them away, avoiding it. We know that we don't want to procrastinate and we still end up procrastinating. So why does that happen? And how can we deal with it? So in this video, I'm going to be focusing on explaining a little bit about why you might be procrastinating, and then linked to that are going to be some easy ways by which you can try and overcome. The first thing I want you to understand is that we have a part of the brain which is known as the executive brain. It has some executive functions that it does for us. So, for example, problem solving or self control or working memory. These are some of the complex functions that this part of the brain deals with. And when we are procrastinating, we are actually not doing something that we're supposed to be doing. But the good news is that the executive brain can learn how to function. So it's not something that you're born with. It is something that you can develop. So no matter how old you are right now, the good news is that you can still learn to deal with procrastination. Before we come to understanding how we can manage it, let's try and first understand why does it happen to us. Well, there are many reasons. The first would be boredom. If you are bored doing something, there are more chances that you're going to avoid it. The second thing would be that you just find the task way too challenging for you to actually take it up. So you just leave it for another time. The third thing that might actually be hindering your completion of a goal is that you don't find it useful. That's another reason you may not want to do it or do it later. The fourth reason that you might be procrastinating is because you are not able to understand how much time do you actually need to do that task. So you miscalculate. So you may feel like you'll finish an assignment in 2 hours, whereas you will actually need maybe 2 days to do it. So this kind of a mismatch between what is actually going to be the amount of time needed and the amount of time that you are presuming you will need creates a degree of procrastination. So procrastination keeps happening because it helps you avoid the task. It helps you stay away from the anxiety that this particular task will put you in. So if the task is very hard, or you don't know how much time it's going to require, how much effort you're going to need, you may actually feel anxious or uncomfortable starting. So procrastinating creates a necessary for that moment, but it's like a temporary way of you shielding yourself or protecting yourself from actually getting into an uncomfortable state. But most often than not, it makes us feel very, very guilty. You end up blaming yourself. You sometimes even have very negative thoughts and feelings about the kind of a person that you are. So how do we deal with procrastination? Well, I'm going to link every reason that I mentioned with every management strategy. So think about the task that you're procrastinating. It's very important for you to think about it because you may be procrastinating different things for different reasons. So for example, if you're supposed to do something and you're finding it boring, you need to understand why is it boring for you. So here I'm going to give an example of the time management matrix, which was given by Stephen Covey. So he talks about tasks in terms of them either being urgent and not important, important but not urgent, or not urgent and not important. Most likely the tasks that we procrastinate are things that are urgent for us but not important for us. So they could actually mean something like doing an assignment, working on a deadline, paying a bill, going for this family function that is not important for you but it's like an urgent need because it's a wedding. So if you re-look at all of these tasks differently and you try and bring in some meaning into them, there are greater chances that you may actually do them. So for example, you absolutely hate a certain subject and you just cannot stand working on an assignment and you find it boring or useless for you to do something like that. Try and think about a bigger goal or look at the bigger context that, okay, this assignment is going to help me graduate, or this assignment will help me learn something which I may use in my entrance exam. So if it's an urgent task like paying a bill which you find no value in, try and think about the fact that you're not paying the bill will create an inconvenience, like maybe the connection going off, or your mother or father feeling like there was this one thing that they asked you to do and you did not do it. So think of it like a helping act that you're doing, or it'll ensure a smoother functioning for you. If you find a task boring, you need to find ways of making it more interesting or meaningful so that there are greater chances that you may actually end up doing it. Now, if you're procrastinating because you're finding a task too challenging, well, it's a real reason. You need to allow yourself to feel overwhelmed for a while, because it's not easy for us to dive into everything with an equal ease. So if you're finding something difficult, you can try and break the task down into smaller goals. So if you have to study for a test or submit an assignment or do something at home, like a home chore that you find too difficult, break it down. Find a suitable time when you're more productive. Try and find a companion or someone with whom you can discuss. So you can have a study partner, a witness that you talk to about your goals or how you're planning to accomplish it. You need to remember that for a task to be attempted successfully, it needs to be of moderate level of difficulty. A very easy task will not motivate you enough. A very hard task will do this, which is keeping you away from actually beginning it. So try and bring down the level of difficulty to a moderate level. And the best way to do it is to think about the entire task, what your final goal is, and break it down. So working on an assignment doesn't mean sitting and finishing the assignment. If you remember my video on productivity techniques, I talked about the pomodoro technique, which I absolutely love because it helps you break down the task, take it up in smaller frames of time so that you feel accomplished with whatever it is that you set out for those 20 minutes. So try and do that. Try and make your task simpler by breaking them into smaller pieces. The third way of actually beating procrastination is to be a good manager of your time. So if you feel a sense of overwhelmness where you feel like you have no control over your time, that is exactly how you will perform. So you need to start feeling like you are in control of your time and you can manage it. So the pomodoro technique is a great way. Eating the frog technique, which means doing the difficult thing the first thing in the morning, is a good way. Minimizing distractions is a good way. Having a SMART goal, which is doing something which is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. All of these steps will ensure that you're able to use your time to the best of your ability. Also, here it's important for you to visualize how much time a particular task needs. So, for example, you're helping your mother keep the house clean during this time. You need to realistically see how much time it's going to take for you. You may take longer than her to do that. So set aside maybe 15 minutes more than what you think you may need and work with that kind of time. The same goes for working on a deadline. Have a timeline, work on it with breaks, allow time for leisure and other activities, and also remember which is the most productive time of the day for you. Is it the morning? Is it the night? Schedule your tasks accordingly. Difficult tasks can be done when you're most alert. Mundane things where you just have to copy something, you just have to do something where you're not using your cognitive skills so much, can also be done during the time when you're a little bit low on energy. The fourth reason why a lot of us procrastinate is faulty belief system. Do any of these statements resonate with you? I will start when I'm actually ready. This is not the best time to start. It's a very easy thing. I'll be able to do it. I've always managed to study at the last minute. I can do it again this time. Well, all of these beliefs are faulty, or they're keeping you away from actually beginning whatever it is that you want to start. So the first thing you need to remember is that there is no ideal time. So when you're actually not very tired or very physically exhausted or demotivated is a good time. Anytime that you're not feeling extremely lethargic is a good time. You can use something known as a 5-minute technique, in which you tell yourself, I'm only only going to sit with this task for 5 minutes and just read the first 2 pages, there are more chances that you're going to actually continue doing that task after 5 minutes. You can even set a buzzer for after 15 minutes so that you can stop after 15 minutes and go back to whatever it is that you were doing. Also, having faulty beliefs like I've done it in the past or it's an easy task sometimes lets us underestimate the amount of effort we need to put in. So you feel relaxed for a long period of time, and then as the deadline comes closer, it increases your level of anxiety. And you need to remember that you need to have optimal levels of anxiety for you to perform your task well. You need to catch your anxiety at the right time and utilize it rather than wait for it to become so much that it actually hampers your performance. So don't wait for the last minute. Even if you're comfortable with doing it at a later time, try and schedule things and work on it. Don't keep putting it off. Continuing the same point, a great way to manage your faulty beliefs at times is to remember the cost that this particular procrastination process is creating for you. So every time you're procrastinating, you're paying a cost for it. It could be guilt that you're feeling. It could be not being able to enjoy the moment, because even when you're procrastinating and watching a show on Netflix or talking to your friend, at the back of the mind, it is still playing, right? So you're losing time, you're losing sometimes positive feelings for yourself, letting yourself down. You don't want to feel those things, or you don't want to let go of opportunities. Every time you don't work on that last module of a course that you signed up for, you are actually keeping yourself away from getting the certificate that you deserve. So think about the cost that it's creating. It's going to be a more practical way for you to actually feel motivated to do the task. The next thing is to minimize distractions. Now, this is a given. Everyone knows the things that they're distracted by. It could be the TV, your parents talking, your phone, noise. Please keep yourself away from it. So I would say have a room where you're feeling physically distraction free. So it could be a space where your table is clean, there's good lighting, there isn't much noise, but also think about the distraction that your gadget, your phone, the social media is causing. So you could turn off the notifications, you could turn off the buzzer, you could put your phone on airplane mode. Remind yourself that you are working on a specific task that is time bound, and you're going to come back to everything that you're treating as distraction for this time. And trust me, when you're able to finish that cycle without any distractions, it will give you a great sense of achievement and accomplishment, which you will like to replicate. So having successful bouts of productivity will actually bring down procrastination in the future. And the last thing that you can do is actually have prompts, reminders that you can put on your phone. You can put post-its, you can create witness. So you could tell your sister, brother, friend, parents to ask you, oh, so you were going to finish your assignment, you told me you were going to submit this, you were going to clean your desk, you were going to write that email for the interview. Did you do that? So creating a witness that doesn't threaten you, is supportive, but at the same time has some degree of authority, is a great idea to maintain whatever promise that you've made to yourself. So I hope you found these tips useful. I'm sure you're going to get a lot out of them if you diligently practice them. Please try them out and let me know what you think about it. Procrastination is like this challenge that we deal with every day, but we can, with sustained efforts, beat it to a large extent. So thank you for watching. I hope you've subscribed to this channel. Let me know what else you would like to know from me. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.